Hello everyone, and welcome to another Red Raptor Writes. This time, I'd like to try something separate from my usual content. Instead of another 70-minute rant, I thought it'd be fun to talk about games that I actually like. And it also wouldn't hurt for you guys to learn a bit more about me. Before I jump into the list, here are some basic ground rules and explanations for why certain games made it and others didn't. First of all, I primarily grew up during the 7th console generation, so you may be disappointed if you're more into earlier retro games. Second, I also grew up on PlayStation. I've had other consoles over the years, but that's what I played the most. Third, I'm only choosing one game per series, so no double dipping. But if I love a game, but it couldn't make the list due to this rule, I'll stick it in the honorable mentions. You'll see a few of these. And finally, remember that these are my favorite games. I have my own personal taste, and I have not played every single award-winning game. So many wonderful games will inevitably not make it onto the list. If there's something I missed that you think would make the list if I played it, comment below. I'm always looking for something new. Now, with all that out of the way, let's dig this up. Just squeezing onto the top of my list is Star Wars Battlefront 2. Wait, hold on. Okay, there we go. Although there were many contenders for the 10th spot, I couldn't help but pick Star Wars Battlefront 2, especially when considering the climate of shooters today, where nearly everything is ruined by loot boxes and or a battle royale mode. The real Battlefront 2 is 15 years old yet launched with far more content than EA's Battlefronts from the past few years. Remember the good old days when you walked into a store, bought a disc, and that one purchase instantly gave you the entire game? No DLC, no season passes, no nothing. This was the classic Battlefront 2. With one purchase, you got a bunch of super fun and nostalgic game modes like the usual Conquest, Capture the Flag, Hunts, the space battles that your friends always sucked at, the Mos Eisley Heroes v Villains game, and a super cool story mode following Anakin's 501st Legion at the end of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Galactic Empire. And that's not to mention the very wide selection of unique maps that were taken straight out of the films. Man, this game is every Star Wars fan's dream. Coming in at number 9 is Fallout 3. Like many players, Fallout 3 was my first Fallout and Bethesda game. Even though it was released just over 10 years ago, to this day I still get blown away. The capital wasteland you explore is a strange mixture of ghostliness and depression, destruction and chaos, and also calm and peace. There's death everywhere, yet the world is lonely, empty. Not to knock New Vegas and 4, but 3 is the only recent Fallout that feels post-apocalyptic, with society in a state of total decay, and hope nowhere to be found. The others feel more post-apocalyptic, with society already being rebuilt. Fallout 3 certainly shines in the subtleties too, like when you find corpses and signs right outside Vault 101. There's no backstory or anything associated with it, but you understand that these were desperate citizens who wanted to enter and save themselves from the bombs. And while I was just wandering around exploring, I found this. This dude decided to watch the world go up in flames with a few beers by his side. So I love how it paints this post-apocalyptic world. What also keeps me playing all these years later are all the intriguing moral choices throughout the wastes. Now, a lot are just the standard black and white, good and evil choices, but many did get me thinking, like poor Harold in Oasis. Do you end his miserable life according to his wishes, essentially euthanasia? Do you make him grow against his wishes, but possibly accelerating the return of plant life? Do you do nothing? Or will you burn him alive for your own pleasure? Tranquility Lane, Tenpenny Tower, The Replicated Man, and so on present interesting choices that not only make you think about how you want to play the game, but get you to look inwards and learn more about yourself. What greater compliment can I give a work of art? Oh, and Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson is always a plus. The youngest game on my favorites list, I love Spider-Man because it just so perfectly nails the character and the vibrant city around him, except for the Chrysler Building. Ugh, they never get the Chrysler Building right. But besides that, the game gets how Spider-Man is the everyman hero who's always down on his luck. Life constantly punches this dude in the face, literally and metaphorically, and yet he keeps going. Peter Parker's relationships are also well realized, making them some of the best parts. Whether it's the rekindling romance between him and Mary Jane, his mentor-student dynamic with Otto Octavius, and his relationship with the only family he has left, you truly buy into it and care about all of them, making it all the more impactful when the game takes daring twists and turns. The gameplay is extremely fun as well, with Arkham-style fighting mechanics adapted for Spidey, and super satisfying web swinging. Like, seriously, I can web swing around Manhattan all day and not get bored. Spider-Man PS4 is an awesome take on the wall crawler and a must-have for any PS4 owners, especially now because the Raimi skin is out. Boy did I struggle deciding between Spider-Man and Infamous. My mind went back and forth several times and may still change in the future. I love Spider-Man, but for the time being, I love Infamous ever so slightly more. Just the opening alone is unforgettable as the peaceful Empire City suddenly gets thrown into chaos during an enormous blast from the Ray Sphere. You play as Cole McGrath, the bike messenger who delivered the package with the sphere. After the explosion, you wake up with electric powers and take on the remnants of Empire City. Then, you the player get to decide whether you'll be the city's savior or take advantage of the chaos to rise to power as a supervillain. This leads to many awesome and hilarious choices, which are many times the best part. Cole and his awesome gravelly voice is joined by his best friend Zeke, ex-Trish, and government agents to track down the Ray Sphere and defeat the mysterious villain Kessler. The story is shrouded in mystery as you uncover the events leading up to the blast and Cole's abilities. The combat and platforming are also tons of fun with new and exciting electric powers. And your mind will be blown when you reach the ending. Infamous is such a memorable and one-of-a-kind kind of game, and that's why it had to make the list. Sorry, Spidey. Roaring in at number 6 is the classic 2003 park builder, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. Is it any surprise? 15 years after its release, there is still a cult following and active modding community. People just can't seem to get enough of it, myself included. JPOG has the most simple, yet genius premise to a video game. What if you could build your own Jurassic Park? That's it. That's JPOG. But the developers at Blue Tongue just ran with this idea and created a super fun park builder that would please Tycoon fans and Jurassic Park fans alike. Admittedly, the management and design aspects of the game don't have much depth and are pretty basic, but it's the dinosaurs that really push this one over. We all know T-Rex, Velociraptor, Triceratops, Spinosaurus, and so on from the films, but they're given so much life here. You actually get to see them just being animals, living out their own lives instead of movie stars from iconic scenes or monsters that endlessly hunt people for no reason. Each dinosaur, even the ones without on-screen appearances, have their own personalities and contribute something to your park. Fans of the franchise may go in being die-hard Tyrannosaurus lovers, but then walk out obsessing over Camarasaurus or Carcharodontosaurus. There are also many ways to experience your Jurassic Park, like through jeeps, hot air balloons, helicopters, and towers, so you might end up just staring at your dinosaurs for hours. Couple all this with some cool missions on the side, a Site B mode with free-roaming dinosaurs, and a phenomenal score, and you've got yourself one heck of a game. Any fan of Jurassic Park, dinosaurs, or tycoon games in general needs to pick this one up. Kicking off my top 5 favorite video games is Uncharted 3, the best out of what is arguably the best series in gaming. I mean, seriously, if I didn't restrict my list at all, it's very possible that the whole Uncharted trilogy would end up here. But what makes the third installment so amazing is how it explores the personal relationships between the characters we've all grown to love over the previous 2 games. We learn about Nathan Drake's backstory, how he was just a junk rat committing petty crimes on the streets of Colombia, until Sully took him in as his partner in crime and surrogate son. The other adventures were fun and exciting, but this one is personal. Even though we delve into their pasts, the main characters are still the same hilarious, lovable goofballs, making all their discussions about history and ancient civilizations and explorers all the more fun to watch, and history's cool. Playing through an Uncharted game is like playing through an epic adventure movie because of how cinematic they are. There are so many memorable set pieces that leave you on the edge of your seat, like the burning citadel, the spiders, the other spiders, the sinking ship, the plane crash, the market where you slap henchmen with fish, more spiders, and so on. Uncharted 3 is an epic, hilarious thrill ride from beginning to end. The final superhero game on this list is the first in the critically acclaimed Arkham series, Batman Arkham Asylum. Arkham City was close to taking this spot on the list with its more polished mechanics and better boss fights, but Asylum ultimately won me over with its irreplaceable atmosphere and tone. Batman has to venture through the dreary, unsettling, and horrific yet comic booky Asylum to bring it back under control after Joker and all his thugs took over. Besides being an awesome video game that makes you feel like the master martial artist that is the Dark Knight, and creating a revolutionary combat system that future games like Spider-Man will use as well, Arkham Asylum is also a crazy good Batman story. While surviving the likes of Bane, Poison Ivy, and especially Scarecrow, Batman has to prove his worth, prove to the Joker and everyone else that he's not crazy, that he doesn't belong locked up in Arkham like everyone else, that he can rise above his horrific past and bring order to Gotham. It's a wonderful and inspiring story. You're with Batman cheering him on through every encounter, every physical and mental obstacle he has to overcome in an attempt to prove himself. The voice acting is also top notch, with Batman veterans Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Arlene Sorkin breathing life into this great script. Batman Arkham Asylum definitely deserves to be the top superhero game on the list. I love your voice, Cole, but I hope you understand. I was not expecting LittleBigPlanet to rank this high on the list, especially not top 3. But I have probably poured more time, money, and effort into these games than any other. Now, I know I'm kind of breaking my own rules here, but it's been impossible for me to pick one over the other. The first 2 LittleBigPlanets are both pure extract of family-friendly fun. You play as Sackboy, or Sackding because the makers realized that you can dress up like a girl too, and run, dodge, and leap through several themed worlds. This is easily my favorite platformer, with an abundance of silly obstacles to survive, so many catchy and memorable songs, tons of customization, and fascinating, sometimes gorgeous worlds. You could also grab a few friends locally or online and run through the levels together, completing puzzles specifically made for multiple players. I have countless memories of laughing with friends playing LBP, and if all that isn't enough reason for making the list, there are thousands upon thousands of community levels for you to play. And some of the levels average players make are so good, they leave you speechless, or better yet, inspire you to make your own levels. I've spent so many days, weeks even, just making my own levels. So, whichever way you slice it, LittleBigPlanets 1 and 2 are certainly deserving of the 3rd place spot. We all know that Star Wars is awesome, or at least it was. When BioWare got their shot at a Star Wars game, they didn't decide to cash in on the galaxy we all know and love, with characters like Yoda and Obi-Wan, or take us to nostalgic locations like Mos Eisley or Bespin. Nah, instead they took the core elements of what makes Star Wars great, brought them back in time to a 4 and 3,000 years into the past with the Old Republic, and dissected the heck out of them. In Knights of the Old Republic, or KOTOR as it's abbreviated, we get to explore the philosophies behind the Jedi Order, the Sith, and the ravenous Mandalorians. It teaches us to be careful with all these extreme ideas, showing us their upsides and downsides, telling us to truly find balance. The gameplay is a fun mix of real-time fighting and turn-based RPGs, and there's a lot of enjoyment in upgrading your character to become the Sith Lord, Jedi Knight they were meant to be. Where KOTOR truly shines though is in its characters. The companions you bring with you on your quest are also emotionally engaging as you learn more about their pasts, why they are who they are, and what they believe. They'll even have conversations and debates with each other and give their input when you're talking with others, sometimes leading to hilarious results.
These hopefuls will never survive in the Academy. A lesson must be taught here, but I am at a loss as to what form it should take.
Advisement. Evisceration works well. Electrocution and blunt trauma also work well, I understand.
The villain, Lord Malak, is awesome. Your interactions with the characters throughout the galaxy are awesome. The different worlds you visit are also awesome. Knights of the Old Republic is pure Star Wars awesomeness. Man, I wish I could put KOTOR as my number 1. It's so good that it even got me to second guess my all-time favorite game. But anyone who's been a regular on my channel knows exactly how unmovable the winner is. But before we get there, here come the honorable mentions. How on earth could there have been any other victor besides Bioshock? Ever since it dropped for PS3 in 2008, it has been my favorite video game, heck, favorite work of art of all time. What's there left for me to say that I haven't already said about this masterpiece? The setting of Raptor is quite possibly the most intriguing, fleshed out world I have ever experienced. The story will leave you with your jaw dropped on the floor. The characters you meet along the way are super memorable. The voice acting is phenomenal. The philosophical conflicts are gripping. The enemies you fight have tons of personality, as opposed to the boring human-shaped hitboxes in most games. And the gameplay is endlessly satisfying. It's very simple and straightforward, especially when it comes to its predecessors, yet there are countless ways to play and experiment with the different plasmids, tonics, and the environment. All of my many playthroughs felt totally fresh and new. What's so impressive is how the setting, story, and gameplay all tie in together. The story informs the setting, which provides the player with new gameplay mechanics, which the player then uses to progress and learn more about the story. And this cycle loops around and around, causing such a great sense of coherence and immersion, unlike anything I've ever seen. Bioshock is almost impossible to fit into any particular genre, because it's such a unique blend of greatness. First and foremost, it's a first-person shooter, but also a sci-fi horror, with some elements of a role-playing game, yet also a mystery, with the backstory of a political thriller and a crime drama, with some occasional strategery. And guys, don't even get me started on that twist. There have been several plot twists and reveals on my list, but while impactful, creative, and mind-boggling, none have ever held such weight as Bioshock's, commenting on and poking fun at the nature of the gaming medium itself. I've played, watched, researched, and talked about Bioshock for over 10 years now, yet I still can't get enough. And that is why Bioshock is my favorite video game. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my video, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Maybe I'll return to this sometime soon and do a favorite films list. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. See you next time!